guys, Natalie Willis, the baby sleep trainer here. Let's talk about early morning waking. I don't care how old your baby is or your toddler, whether you sleep train them or not, whatever, you will almost certainly at some point have had issues with early morning waking. If you've never had that issue, you're probably not watching this video, but also you have a pretty rare situation because most children at some point for some reason go through this issue. And let's talk about why it happens so commonly. Most of the time, if you watch some of my other videos, you'll kind of hear this common thread that, oh, this problem happens a lot because your child isn't an independent sleeper. They're not sleep trained yet, right? In this case, early morning waking will happen regardless whether or not you sleep train your child. And that is because it is driven by your child's biology. So there are two things happening in the 4 to 7 a.m. hour. Most of the time, regardless of what time your baby's bedtime is or your child's bedtime is. And the two things are, first, a really big drop in melatonin. Melatonin is the hormone that regulates our sleep. It's elevated overnight. It's very elevated at bedtime, and it slowly dissipates overnight. And generally by about 4 to 6 a.m., there's very little melatonin in the body. Melatonin helps the body be drowsy, feel drowsy, and relax the muscles. When there isn't any melatonin present and you wake up, you can feel pretty awake. As an adult, if I wake up and feel awake and it's 4:30 in the morning, I will know to turn over and just chill out, and I'll probably fall back to sleep as long as I can, maybe meditate or do some deep breathing. Infants or toddlers wake up, and if they feel awake, they don't care. They're like, let's party. So if there's a lack of melatonin in the body, they're more likely to wake up, maybe as is natural between one sleep cycle to the next, and then just be awake. The other compounding factor is REM sleep. Sleep cycles are made up of 3 different types of sleep. First, it's going to be drowsiness. Then it's going to be deep sleep, and finally it's going to be REM sleep. REM sleep is where we dream, and it's really where your baby is forming memories like us, and also where they're learning. This happens to be a very light stage of sleep, and as night turns to day, the brain spends more and more time in the REM cycle, which is a very light stage of sleep. I don't know why. It's like nature's cruel joke. But the point is that early in the morning, your baby is spending a lot of time in light stage sleep, and it's also having very little melatonin. So it's more likely to get woken up randomly, especially let's say if you're room sharing, and then it's likely to not feel tired or drowsy or sleepy or relaxed and want to be awake. The best thing that you can do is nothing. Literally the only thing that you can do to make this issue worse is interact heavily with your child. But this is going to be tricky, right? Because we are talking about 2 categories of children. Children who are independent sleepers, who are sleep trained, who fall asleep on their own, and children who don't. If you have a child, like many of you probably do, who does not yet know how to fall asleep independently, you can pretty much assume that they are not able to fall back to sleep early in the morning. If you're lucky, you'll be able to do what you normally do to get them to go back to sleep, nurse them, rock them, whatever. It may take longer, and they may still wake up soon after you put them down, but you'll be able to get them back to sleep. If you're not very fortunate, or if your child is a little bit older, it's likely that all of your tactics and tricks that work early in the night are not going to work early in the morning. This is where sleep training enters the picture. If you have any hope of your child being able to go from being awake to being asleep again between 4 and 7 a.m., it will likely only be because they already know how to put themselves to sleep between, I would say, their nap time and their bedtime. So sleep training might really be the answer, and I have a lot of videos that you can check out on what sleep training is and how to do it and all of that. And so really, and even sometimes when they are sleep trained and you are not really interacting with them, sometimes they will just keep doing this indefinitely. Some families experience early morning waking for long periods of time. Some families experience it for short bursts, but intermittently or frequently throughout their child's first maybe 18 months of life. The important thing to do is, if you do have an independent sleeper, to set a very strict wake time of each morning, and say in our household, in the Willis household, we start our day at X time in the morning, and be really consistent. You also, one last thing that you may want to check out, make sure that your child is having the appropriate number of naps for their age. I will make sure that these 2 blog posts are in the description. There's a 3 to 2 nap transition blog post and a 2 to 1 nap transition blog post on babysleeptrainer.com on the blog. Let's say you've sorted through everything else and you can't really figure out what's going on. It might be that your child needs to transition from 3 naps to 2 or 2 naps to 1. Those blog posts will explain how to know and how to do it. And if that's the case, reducing the number of naps during the day might also help them sleep in a little bit later in the morning. Please like this video, and of course subscribe to the Baby Sleep Trainer channel, and I will see you all next time.